Ladies and gentlemen, respected guests, scholars, and participants from all around the world, a warm welcome to everyone on the international webinar Understanding the Landscape of Religion Violence Within South Asia. I am Zehra, and it's my privilege to guide you guys through this enlightening journey today. In a world where people are different but connected, it's important that we will talk about the problems that stop us for living together peacefully. Today, we have some really knowledgeable people here who help us understanding why their violence related to the religion in South Asia. If we understand the reasons, can work hard together, being kinder to each other. So, without further ado, let me introduce our esteemed panel of speakers, each bringing a unique perspective to the discussion today. Cynthia Stephen, we are having today Cynthia Stephen, Dr. Obed Manwatkar, Professor Sujatha Surepally, and Ananda Nepali. Through this webinar, our distinguished speakers will deliver the historical context, social political influencing, and grassroots efforts that contributes to religious violence in South Asia. We will be examining the impact on communities, discuss potential solution, and explore the role of international collaboration in forecasting and understanding. So please welcome the first speaker, Cynthia Stephen. She's a brave person who fight for the right of Dalit people. She writes, study, and talk about the things that make their life better. She's a journalist also who shares important story. Cynthia cares a lot about making sure all women are treated fairly. She's a charge of the group that helps learn to grow and lives in India. Thank you so much for joining us. The floor is all yours. May you proceed now.
Okay. I'm very happy to be here, and I thank you for choosing such an important topic. SARIM has to be complimented on the choice of the topic. It's a very important topic at this particular time. Understanding the landscape of religious violence, its trends and patterns in South Asia. Uh, to start with, I was looking at what is the one common characteristic of religious violence, and I think it fits the definition of hate crime. So I would say that all religious violence would come under hate crimes. And how then do we understand this hate crimes? I'm giving a series of examples of how religious violence has reared its head in various countries and societies in South Asia, and then I will try to um, draw out some patterns that I have found in the violence that has taken place. Some two or three important points. So I will not be very lengthy, but I want to just say that I have tried to be as impartial and uh, as diverse as possible in gathering the information. In fact, while I was opening my computer and phone to research the project, and I saw my eyes fell upon a report on the newspaper today's Hindu, where just yesterday there was violence in Faisalabad, Pakistan, alleging blasphemy by a Christian family. It has it has created a lot of confusion in that area. Here in India, religious fervor has targeted the minorities, both Muslim and Christian, in a long and continuous litany. There's nothing, it has started with the partition and it continues to the present day and has changed in its pattern and its manifestations in along with the time. In Sri Lanka, people may remember Sri Lankan identity was linked with the Sinhala language and Buddhist religion. And so it was in 19, it was in the early part of its life. And then when the reaction was strong in the when the then Prime Minister Mr. Solomon Bandaranaike, he propagated the primacy of Sinhala and the Buddhist religion. there was a very strong backlash. As a result of that, he withdrew the policy. Now, when he withdrew the policy, extremist monk, Buddhist monk, took a gun and assassinated the prime minister. This is somewhat similar to this example in India of Mahatma Gandhi, who was known as an apostle of non-violence and a great propagator of communal harmony, especially between the Hindus and Muslims, was shot dead by a man, was assassinated by a man linked with the RSS. Ironically, that same RSS is now part of the ruling power forces in present day India. So I'm just drawing out some threads here of similarities. Muslims and Sri Lanka have also started facing, earlier it was not so evident, but they've also started facing violence. And people may recall the Easter morning church blasts in Sri Lanka. And though they were not actually of Sri Lankan origin or hate crimes, but their international jihadi links have been caught there. In Bangladesh, there has been a trend of reduction in the minority population, and that is the Hindu minority population. But there was not much ethnic violence, I mean, religious violence. But in the recent Durga Puja, that is last year, there was very serious violent incidences of violence. Many people were injured, killed, and a lot of violence took place. And this happened following viral posts on Facebook alleging desecration of holy book and so on. Even in Faisalabad, we see that pattern. Not only in Faisalabad, but in any of the anti-minority violences that one notices in Pakistan, there is this thing about blasphemy that comes up. In Punjab, in India, in the Punjab of India also, there have been some violence against people who have desecrated the Guru Granth Sahib. So we are seeing. So what is the pattern? Now, I have not said much about India, but I would like to add that in recent years, say in the past 10, 12 years or so, though violence against Muslims has been an ongoing matter, the violence against Christians was more or less under the radar, except one or two instances in Gujarat in Dance in 1999, and in Orissa in the year 2000 there was the severe case of the attack on Graham Staines and his two children, and fatally they were all burned to death in a van. So then after that there was the Kandhamal violence some years later. So there has been a pattern of rising Christian violence, but it has been confined to 2 or 3 states in the past. But of late, in the past 4 or 5 years, we are seeing wherever the present ruling party in India is in power, both in the state and in the center, those states show a high level of violence, not only against Muslims but also against Christians. And in the recent months, there has been a combination of ethnic and religious violence in a state bordering Burma, that is in Manipur, which there are internal ethnic factors as well as religious factors. It's a very complex mix. So, what are the patterns one can see in such developments in South Asia? In fact, you can even look at Burma. In Burma, also there is a combination of ethnic and religious violence, and here and also in the state of Manipur, I could say there is an involvement of not only the majority, miscreants from majority with affiliation to majority religions, but also to some extent there is state support for this violence. This is something that we have to recognize. So, what is the pattern? What are the patterns one sees? One of the important patterns is that religious symbols are targeted. So, it could be the holy book, the scripture, something like that. Sometimes, in the case of Christians, there is no There are no very few. There are instances of churches being attacked, some crosses being broken down, churches being set on fire, and so on. But also there are the triggers are said to be uh, desecration of holy book, which is considered blasphemy among the Muslims and also among the Punjab Sikhs. So in Bangladesh also, the violence that took place in Durga Puja was triggered by the spread of images of a speech and also of alleged desecration of the Quran. So, but now what one sees is that religious symbols desecration allegedly by the minorities, and which have got a very strong reaction from the majority religious practitioners. Then there's one extra factor we need to keep in mind, and that is the role of social media. The role of social media in spreading rapidly the informations, the images of the alleged desecration or blasphemous behaviors. So as a result of which large areas are affected, large populations are also affected, and there is a targeting, sharp targeting of people totally unconnected with the actual violence. Then the poor and disempowered are usually the targets, or politically powerful personalities belonging to the minorities or having some religious affiliation could also be the targets. As I said, Gandhi was one of them, and Solomon Bandaranaike was another. But it could also be, like in Manipur, the one BJP MP was severely beaten up and is now paralyzed because he was elected on a BJP ticket with being a Christian. So there was an anger against the BJP which was manifested by targeting on the MP who was himself a Christian. So now the last and most important point I want to make is that uh, there is therefore now a clear nexus between state power, political power, and majority religious fundamentalism. So these are the patterns. Since you have asked us to talk about trends and patterns, these are the trends and patterns. The trends and patterns are, again to repeat, the use of social media to make viral the image viral and create widespread um, disturbance. Secondly, the targeting of religious symbols for this to irritate the public. uh, Mostly the majority target the religious minority. The religious majority religious fundamentalists target the religious minorities. The poor and disempowered are the targets of the violence, and ultimately, most importantly, there is a strong nexus visible between political power and the majority religious fundamentalism. So these are the patterns that I have identified without any exception across all of the examples that I have stated. Of course, unstated, not very strongly stated, are the fact that many of those who convert to minority religions tend to belong to the poor and disempowered, and so there are caste elements, there are elements of ethnicity which also play a role, but they vary according to the local realities and situations. With these, I would like to thank you for the opportunity to share, and I think I have run out of my time. Thank you so much.
Thank you very much. Of course, being a Pakistani, I condemn what happened yesterday in Pakistan, the violence against church and Christian. But your knowledge has significant enhanced our conversation. Thank you very much. Now I am introducing Dr. Obed Manwatkar. He is an interfaith and intercultural scholar, writer, and singer. He is an advocate for peace and justice and hold the respected position of Professor of World Religious Cultures at North Park University in Chicago, USA. With a wealth of knowledge and passion for promoting understanding among different cultures and faith, Dr. Manwatkar brings a unique mindset to our discussion on religion violence within South Asia. We are honored to have him as a part of our panel. The spotlight is on you. Please unmute yourself.
Thank you so much for giving me another opportunity for South Asia Research Institute for Minorities in Kara University, Pakistan, and grateful for our team, SARIM. And yeah, so I would like to share my screen and jump onto the topic. And uh, most of the things were shared by uh, so uh, I won't. I won't repeat all those things what she has said. I do agree with all of the insights what she or fellow panelist Cynthia Stephen said that, but I would just jump into some things and then get on to it. So yeah, so landscape trends and patterns of religious violence within South Asia. That's what this webinar is all about, and yeah, so. Uh, as per the concept note for this webinar, so I'll just follow the point-to-point objectives of this concept note of the webinar. So historical coexist and conflict between different religious communities, South Asia. Yes, there have been conflicts, and there are so many conflict stories we can share. And because the matter is this Indian subcontinent is the most invaded place in the world. Indian subcontinent was invaded so many times that there are histories of wars and killings and murders and brutalities and so many things. And this area, South Asia, uh, is have often been facing bloodsheds a lot since decades, thousands of years. So, but what I would say is like I prefer sharing the stories of hope. I prefer sharing the stories of coexistence rather than conflicts, like dealing with the conflicts, because the conflict stories, what happens is today, uh, if you see the Khalistani group, especially which I have observed in abroad, United States and Canada. The youth today, Khalistani youth today, believes in the storyline of the 1984 uh, the things happened in New Delhi, and he still believes that we are still in 1984 era. That's why he gets radical. I know Sikhs are in danger, so I have to bring back the Khalistan and independent nation and all that. So that those few of the stories. So what happens in histories of conflicts, what our generations have been believing, which they have been going through generations. That is one of the area of radicalization. But to unlearn that, we need to share this. We need to share, and in my opinion, the stories of coexistence. And so we often think of Sufism, as just some kind of Islamic mystical dancing or music or aesthetism, but it is just only one side of the coin. The other side of the coin of the Sufism has been a peace building and reconciling people and making this world a more peaceful place. Hazrat Pir Baba Bulle Shah's story is one of the unique stories. He is icon of both Sikhs and Muslims, and why he's so engendered and has great reverence in both of their stories, because he lived in a time when there was a communal strife between Sikhs and Muslims, and in that age Bulle Shah, Hazrat Pir Baba Bulle Shah was the one who became emerged as a channel of peace between these two communities, which includes modern day Pakistan as well, so not just India but Pakistan. And he he saw that Muslims killed a young Sikh who was passing through their village in retaliation for the murder of some Muslims by Sikhs. Baba Bulle Shah denounced this act and thus was censured by mullahs and muftis. So he fought against the radicalized Muslims, and uh, he also condemned the Muslims killing Sikh and Sikhs killing Muslims. He both reconciled uh, Mughal Emperor Aurangzeb and Banda Bahadur Singh, who was in the revenge era. So those are the things, like he made a peace contract between these two communities and reconciled two leaders. So Bulle Shah, if people say that can Muslims and Sikhs live together, yes, we have the answer. Uh, Baba Bulle Shah is the answer. But again, uh, there it's not that there have been no conflict. Of course, we have seen India Pakistan partition things, and Muslims killing Sikhs and Sikhs killing Muslims, and lot of stories are there. But we still need to uncover the peace building stories, coexistence stories. So that is the area of research we can do as a concept note. So historical coexistence after India Pakistan partition, can there has been coexistence between India and Pakistan. So root causes uh, of religious violence leading to communal riots, hate crimes, religiously motivated, and discrimination. In my opinion, there are four. Uh, One, there is an agreement upon a set of fundamentals. There is a scriptural source in the locus of the essence of the religious tradition, or in other words, recovery of lost values. So means it has the agenda of the cause is like ideological traditionalization of the community, which means we have to reject the pluralism idea and naturalistic claim to only one true core of belief. So my faith is the only one. That is the only true faith, and that is the one, and the other faiths are thing. So these are the something root causes of radicalizing people, and which leads in like there is a set of fundamentals. No, there are some laws that I agree with, and the other laws. That, so that's how radicalization works, and then recovery of the lost values. So many are still believing. So many times, like there was a there is a still trend in the white supremacist Christian world, like recovery of lost values means let's bring back Christendom again. So that so let's bring back the like ISIS people, they say like let's bring back the Islamic state of Iraq and Syria. So Islamic state again. So in the Christian and Muslim fundamentalism, there is a scriptural source. Scriptures has been used to misinterpret the message of Quran and message of the Bible. Uh, and in Hindu fundamentalism, which we say the RSS and all, they don't have the scripture. They have a book. Uh, their scripture is "We are our nationhood defined" by Golwalkar. That is their key source of implementing the policies in India. And so they say we believe in this, but in actual they are promoting Golwalkar's ideology. So that is their scriptural source. We are a nation not defined as a thesis written by Golwalkar, and it says Muslims and Christians are our enemies. Uh, so then so ideological retraditionalization happens. That idea works when they work on the grounds, and the cadres, these kind of radical forces cadre, they work on the grounds, and rejection of pluralism. South Asia, yes, there is a biggest example, Afghanistan. So how the ideological retraditionalization has happened. That once America left, and the whole Taliban came in, and now it's how it is. We all know that. And of course, naturalistic claim said like our faith is the only one. So there is an idea of imposition of one faith to people of other faiths. So because the ruler believes that his faith is the only one. So that's how how are the root causes of religious violence. great crimes happen. The biggest factor contributing to religious violence is fear. Fear. Fear is the biggest factor. Rest all of the we can talk and talk like okay this happened that happened. So fear arises into the human being. Fear has been used to weaponize the tool to promote. So fear fear causes a common alliance between common enemies, and then the fear of socio-economic and political factors, democratic factors in group formation, psychological factor, perception of threat and insecurity, religious contextualization of dispute. This is the pyramid I have made yesterday, like while preparing this presentation. But so four core points are like it is a desire for fear gets produced in the common people because there is a desire for political power. Then there is a struggle for resources. Then there are ethnic rivalries and economic competition. So fear is the main source. So for example, when in America, which I saw when Donald Trump came to power, uh, the most important factor he used is fear. That there is a fear that these people are occupying it. Even when there was an attack on Capitol Hill in the United States, so there was a fear that Joe Biden is something non-Christian, and so that's why we have to attack Capitol Hill. We have to capture Capitol Hill. Similar kind of spirit is in India, which was used like fear, like okay, if we don't vote Modi, then the Muslim rule will come back. No, so we have to because there is a fear that Muslims and Christians are the enemy, and that's why to annihilate them, we need to vote our man to be in power so that we could teach them a lesson because they are becoming a threat like that. So this has been very like you trace the history of Prophet Moses, no, peace be upon him. Prophet Moses at Prophet Moses time, like uh, Pharaoh was told, and Pharaoh's advisors has told that see his community is increasing, and if we don't enslave them, if we don't keep them under control, they may conquer us one day. They can become a threat for a kingdom. So that is a fear, you know. So fear is the biggest factor which makes a person to be violent about to shield himself. So that's why I like when in India when Bharat Jodo Yatra happened, Rahul Gandhi gave a awesome slogan, "Daro mat, daro mat, kisi cheez se daro mat." So that is really a good slogan. Of course, that slogan comes from Jesus, Prophet Jesus, Prophet Muhammad, and every big prophet has said that. So don't fear of anything. You know, once you don't fear of anything, uh, you won't be. There is a fear. Okay. Case studies. There are many case studies. There are many, but I will share only one. 2002 Godhra, Gujarat. Look at the pictures here and Outlook magazine. The poster boy. His name is Ashok Mochi, Ashok Parmar. He is a cobbler, a street cobbler. Okay. This man was radicalized, and Godhra he killed almost 40 plus people. 40 plus. You see the picture on my screen. One man is begging for life, and his name is Kutubuddin Ansari. That is a picture from 2002 when Godhra riots happened. And Narendra Modi, Prime Minister Narendra Modi, the then Chief Minister of Gujarat, is directly responsible for it. So he didn't do anything. He walked like so. He played a neutral game. But what I'm saying, this picture uh, shows the pours out that hate, and there is a fear in the eyes of Kutubuddin that because his whole family and his whole friend circle, all his community has been killed, and this man is rejoicing and is a poster boy. But I want to tell you that what happened few years later. This happened few years later in Kerala. Uh, Ashok Moji uh, comes to Kutubuddin Ansari in Kerala. It gives him a rose and says, "Brother, I'm sorry. I'm sorry. I cannot undo the past, but please forgive me." And this story is so moving that has moved me. Literally, like so, a cobbler repented, and today Kutubuddin and Ashok Mochi are one of the best friends they've seen. So, like basically, Kutubuddin also has some kind of business. So I think they have some business exchanges today also. But see how the things have changed, how things change. So people of different faiths. I don't know what happened. I don't know who talked to Ashok. I don't know what conversation he had. I don't know. But suddenly out of nowhere, he appears in front of Kutubuddin and gives him a rose. Brother, I'm so sorry. Can you please forgive me for the past, for 2002? Specifically ask forgiveness. And Kutubuddin also says, brother, you are forgiven. See, it's hard to forgive person who has killed your own whole family and community. So that's the thing. So finally, question is role of state and institution and governance. Is there any really state plays? No, I don't think so. It's a role of a state, of course, to stop these communal conflicts and all. But I don't think state has played very much role. All the political powers, they have fueled more and more differences so that they could get votes and all, then play their power politics. So there needs to be done the effort. Peace and Reconciliation Commission should be there. I shared that there is a peace and reconciliation model in India. Maybe we can follow that. So that can be my conclusion. So thank you so much for giving me a time and.
I'm impressed by your insight. Your presentation has enriched our collective understanding of the subject at hand. Thanks, many thanks, allowing us to introduce Professor Sujatha Surepally, a renowned figure as a associate professor and head of the Department of Sociology. Beyond her academic skills, Professor is also a Dalit activist and accomplished writer hailing from India. Her commitment to raise awareness and advocating marginalized communities is commendable. With her valuable insights and impactful contribution, she will talk about the complex issues of religion violence within South Asia. We are privileged to have her today. Thank you. You have the stage now.
So, thank you for inviting me, and also, this is I think, the right time to discuss this issue, because religion is always considered as, very personal, very, sensitive, very delicate, and one should not talk about this. This is what we have taught, and recently, whoever talks about religion, and being a Dalit activist and a teacher, we were targeted, because immediately somebody comes in and they say that you are, bringing the tension between the two religions, which is supposed to not to. But anyway, I'm glad that you have taken up this issue, and thanks for that. And I think earlier speakers, Cynthia and other friend, have spoken about the violence. But being a Dalit activist and being in India, and I think we were we experienced from womb to tomb kind of violence in the name of caste, and that comes from the religion, right? So if you see the South Asia context, and whenever I was also a fellow for minority rights with UN some time back, sometime back, 10-15 years back, with the United Nations, that I wrote a paper saying that all religions in India are Hinduized, kind of a thing, because that is that if there is a one dominant religion, then rest of the religion, some people may convert, some people will like some things and they follow it, and some things were adopted over the course period of time. Just today I have received we are in the Telangana Peace Committee also. We are doing a lot of things because we are expecting that coming elections may bring some more these kind of tensions between the religions. So first thing from my side, adding to the earlier speakers, that religion is very much political now. So unless we see from that point of view, we don't understand why Manipur only churches are being burnt, more than 200 churches, why certain people are belonging to certain faith is targeted, and why only wherever the dominant religions are in power, why politicians are bringing religion into the picture when during the elections or post elections, or to prove their dominance. And now it is with we have lot of examples now that religion, especially the place where I come from, Telangana, Hyderabad, ruled by Nizams, and we have a popular saying that Ganga Jamuna Tehzeeb culture what we own, but that is for the last couple of decades it's been very much politicized, and where we have Charminar and other places where Hindus and Muslims live together now. Post 80s they started separating, they started targeting each other. In fact, people are very very kind enough and very friendly to each other. I've been to Pakistan, Lahore, to speak in Punjab. Our friend Syeda invited me. The moment I said that I'm from India, people started giving me lot of discounts, lot of showering love and peace. I mean the love towards a country where you belong to. So the second point what I'm saying, it's that people are good, of all faiths. I'm glad that somebody earlier speaker talking about the fear. The fear is also very politically motivated, because I don't follow any religion, but I work for all the religions, because that is what we are brought up. We believe in humanism, Buddhism, and yeah. So what we always tell people is, if you really love any god or any faith or a religion, then you should be a symbol of peace, right? Until I don't want to talk about the religions which has some factors of them. There is a caste in some, where we have that inequalities, and who is powerful, who is not powerful. Women has to be like this, some man has to be like this. These are the things which we were learned over a period. But now for last few decades, especially if you see the India and Pakistan, the division itself has lot of violence over the separation itself on the religion, which we were very upset, because religion can't separate territories and geographical boundaries. But that's how we have seen the violence which is deeply rooted. We have seen the Babri Masjid demolition, and now that is in thing that even recently one of our member of parliament saying that it has some place has Shivlinga, then the other faith, and these were they were using deliberately to separate the people. So that means that religion people is in a different hands now. It is used in the politics, it is used to divide the people, it is used to grab some resources. If you see the Manipur violence, it is the resources that which is in, but with the resources, then for outside it is very easy to say that the clash between the two communities, the clash between the two religions, definitely such incident will give a rise to the militant force. If I belong to some other Adivasi community or some other faith where my sisters and where my paraded naked and butchered and targeted, definitely one militant section comes up. So our main agenda is to see that whenever their religious violence happens, and it won't stop over there, it will give rise to different militant forces. Then there is a division, there is a fundamentalism, there is a fascist forces come in. After the first religious conflict in Hyderabad, we have seen several unexpected things from all the religions, that people were gathering in large number, loud noises and hate speeches one against other, which was not there earlier. एक दूसरे को दावत देते थे and भाई बहन and all these kind of things were happening. So the identity and belonging was becoming one of the primary reason कि my religion, my thing, my population, my culture, my food, my dressing is becoming my thing. Is a very globalization, effect of globalization, which I think, and there is a territorial disputes we have seen that now we want separate this land, separate that land, because we are this faith, we need a different thing. And we also have now, after the post globalization market, everything, the socio-economic factors are coming into the violence part of it, because many people are targeting the prime localities where religious places were there, and they are started occupying. And I strongly believe a person who is working on the ground, a lot of political interference creating these kind of tensions. And of course, who are the targets? Again the women, again the poor people, again the children. These people were the target, and the brutality is unimaginable brutality. Somebody can kill with a gun or something, but we saw Gujarat, we are seeing the Manipur, we saw in Sri Lanka, we saw in Cynthia was mentioning how Father Graham was burnt alive. And these were, for me, I think, don't come from the religious side, but using the religion as something to do it. So of course other reasons were mentioned. As our earlier speaker was saying, that whenever we think of religion and violence, we think of Muslims and Christians. Probably the major religions, or the only religions people think that they have only two religions are fighting each other or have a lot of violence. In fact, it's the other way around, that within the religion there is a violence, and within the religion there is a violence, and there are so many other small religions which we are not talking about, and those who are not in the mainstream religions are also have violence. So I come to the what we can do, because the other point I want to mention, that one friend has come from America recently. He was there on Fulbright. He said that found some interesting development, that every couple of months that several churches are closing down, but several temples are coming up in America, and the same thing within the Europe. For me, being a teacher in the university and the activist and the gender act, whatever, if there is a proper education, if there is a sense of development, if person can understand the politics around, these things do not happen. Why in Europe that it's becoming almost non-religious country? I'm not against the religion, but I am definitely against the politics around the religion. Politics, because if you're any true religious faith follower should spread the peace. Otherwise, there is no meaning of calling anybody, any community, any religion as a religious person. So I think there should be an interfaith dialogue, which we often forget. I'm coming part that how we can address these tensions. That interfaith dialogue is very important. Like recently in India, Shabnam Hasmi, others started Mere Ghar Aake To Dekho was a campaign that we all started going to each other's house and spread the love and sisterhood, brotherhood. That until unless you go to anybody, how can people come? Because the other side people are forcefully dividing us. Then we as people should jodna chahiye. And there are also some we are talking about the common civil code. So legal frameworks are also very very important when we talk about the religious tensions. And as I said, that true education, value based education and the equal opportunities perhaps will definitely will reduce this. And I also have a lot of criticism on the media, that of course most of the media is not an independent media now, so they project only some part of it. They don't give us full picture. And they I mean, if you see the Manipur violence recently, one fake message really triggered a huge violence. So the carrying the news in the media and the WhatsApp media is too much nowadays, that for a fake news. And see, focus is on the South Asia because of because we are most of the countries are much more religious, and we are religious because the lower level of education, lower level of understanding, and the more political power over the people. And of course, for every country, wherever I go, in whichever meeting, I say that the more you are inclusive, like include more women, include more different faiths and religious people in a one group, or it is politics or everywhere, then we'll have automatically that religious tolerance will come up. And international cooperation, some bodies are working on the interfaith dialogue, but we in South Asia, we have to understand why, where is going, where are we heading, and what's happening, why it is happening. If we understand, then perhaps we'll have a peaceful Asian Asia is always in the controversies, in the violent side, in the all the indicators of development indicators are down, just because we are very very orthodox and traditional thing. I'm not against the religion. I once again saying that the politics around the religion is very much thing to understand. And we really need to work with mullahs, priests, fathers, pujaris, and those were the people really reach out to the common man, common people. Then perhaps and yes, academia, most of the academics, we don't discuss all these things, but definitely we started working on that there should be a lot of research. Why only projecting the negativity, but there is also a lot of positive things are happening in Southeast Asia. So by saying South Asia is only the region with high violence, no, but there are places in the world where these things will continue. Perhaps let us hope for the best. Yeah.
I agreed with you. We want to extend our appreciation for your words. Thank you for engaging in such a thought-provoking discussion. Presenting Ananda Nepali, who stand as a founder and director of policy research and consulting services, as well as the Pride Foundation based in Kathmandu, Nepal. With this strong dedication to forecast positive change and innovation, Nepali's contribution have a great impact. So now I would like to call, please unmute yourself and proceed with your presentation. Thank you.
Namaste everyone. I am Ananda Nepali, originally from Gulmi, Nepal. I live in Sydney, Australia now. I am founder of Fright Foundation, which works on education, empowerment, advocate for dignified life, and also founder, director of policy research and consulting services in Nepal. First of all, I'd like to extend my heartfelt thanks to Mr. Purkoville and the entire South Asia Research Institute for Minorities, Family, and this international webinar, Understanding in the Landscape of Religious Violence, its trends and patterns within South Asia. I really wanted to join the webinar. However, with my hectic schedule, I wasn't able to make it this time. I'm sending this audio regarding this subject. I hope it will be insightful. The countries of South Asia include Nepal, India, Pakistan, Bangladesh, Afghanistan, Bhutan, Maldives, and Sri Lanka. India is the largest country in South Asia. It has 63% of the region's territory and 70% of its population. If someone says they are from South Asia, they might be from Nepal, India, Pakistan, Afghanistan, Bangladesh, Bhutan, Sri Lanka, because this country belongs to South Asia. Across the region of South Asia, religion is an important component of the identity of a person. In the light of its history of colonialism and its wide diversity of language and culture, religious identities have naturally strengthened there. However, some social and political groups have manipulated them to mobilize support. In the recent past, a growing overlap between violent religious fundamentalism, nationalism, and majoritism has led to increased violence and hostility against religious minorities, especially Hindu, Muslim, and Christian. In Hindu majority Nepal, India, Christians are routinely attacked by mobs, outraged by forcible religious conversion. Muslims have also suffered violent attacks, including by cow protections, vigilance on the pretext that they either beef or were taking cattle for slaughter. In Bangladesh, Buddhist and Hindu communities have suffered violent attacks at the hands of mobs claiming allegiance to Islam. The recent killings of bloggers and atheists are also evidence of the increased hostility to non-Muslim. In Sri Lanka, Buddhist monks led to the charge against evangelism Christian and Muslims and have lobbied for strict anti-conversion laws. In Pakistan, Hindus, Christians, and even minority Muslim sects such as Ahmadis and Shias find themselves on the receiving end of violent attacks and false accusations under the context of blasphemy law. The increased violence has resulted in insecurity and loss of life and property. It has also resulted in increased government restriction on religious life. This is because governments often use the existence of social hostilities to restrict religious life in general through increased regulation of how religious communities can meet, how they receive the fund, and even how they practice their religious beliefs. For instance, violence against Christianity, Muslims in India by Hindu nationalists or different type of political parties has repeatedly resulted in the government calling to further enactment of anti-conversion laws which will only further restrict the rights of Christians. Factors fueling religiously motivated violence. The main factors that fuel religiously motivated violence are a culture of impunity that allow the mob violence to go unpunished, propaganda directed against religious minorities, and a failure to further the common identities among citizens. Across the region of South Asia, religion is an important component of the identity of a person. in the light of history of colonialism. And the fuel religious motivated violence are a culture of impunity. That's more violence to go unpunished propaganda directed against the religious minorities and a failure to purge community of citizens. First is weak rule of law and culture of impunity. The rule of law, the old justice project, surveyed 113 countries and for 44 indicators such as constraints of government power, absence of corruption, and upholding fundamental rights, civil justice. It's most of the South Asia countries rank in the upper 60s, lower one. Nepal is the best in the region, ranked 50. This poor ranking reflected deterioration and slowdown in the justice delivery system and fuels the culture of impunity towards violence by mobs and the access on the street. For instance, in India, according to reports collected by the United Christian Forum, over 2050 and more than incident of violence against Christians, unlike Muslims. Majoritarianism and propaganda against religious minorities. This religious nationalism is extremely problematic when the majority religion uses it to create a clear distinction between the majority and minority. We are taught how they are different from us. We learn how their aspirations are determined. The walls are quickly erected and become difficult to knock down. Soon stereotypes take hard shape and we become prejudices. The Muslims are like this. The Christians are like this. The Hinduism is like this. And Catholics never do that. Their culture is different and so on. In India, literature and propaganda material often in the vernacular and circulated through social media create myths about Christians, Hinduism, and Muslims. In Pakistan, also the Hinduism, about Hinduism and the main two minority communities being targeted in the country. The myths repeated often enough have again semblance of the truth and echoed even by members of the minority community themselves. The most common allegations against Christians, Muslims in India is rather the engage in unethical and forcible conversion. According to rumors, Christians give large sums of money and other inducements to convert people. In response, various provinces in India have enacted legislation to ensure that forcible conversion or converted by inducement is a punishable offense. In Bangladesh, various type of violence happens, and in Pakistan, India, Afghanistan, many minorities communities have been suffering. And propaganda against the different type of religions is strong and feels a sense of distrust of Muslims, Hindus, different type of religions. This is sadly the experience of Hinduism in many parts of the world, especially the southern or European, Western, and Australia. The propaganda lays the foundation for violence and hostility by creating the other who is different from us. Sometimes Hinduism, mainly people don't eat pork. Muslim communities not only don't eat pork. Hinduism don't eat beef. Yeah, and that's the sometimes this type of habitual or cultural things is also represent the religions that always shows the difference between the different type of religion, and failure to forge a common identity is often the religious nationalist groups focus on only on aspect of the identity of person or group. The divide between communities is created by highlighting differences rather than similarities. Even language and culture, which should help bind people and have ideas flow, become a point of contention. In fact, no one has only one identity. We are composite beings enjoying a wide variety of interests. And I would like to offer some suggestions to tackle these three factors of fueling them, work towards strengthening the rule of law, legal literacy, litigation assistance. A legal system are slow and complex, and victims are often require assistance to navigate them. Advocacy for policies and Muslim minorities of religion, minorities communities must continue to create opportunity for religious minorities and other vulnerable communities to participate in advocacy for policies and better protection of fundamental rights, greater separation of the powers between the various state institutions, and increase transparency in all the state institutions are crucially step towards strengthening the rule of law. Respond to propaganda. It's imperative for minorities and civil society confront the lies with the truth told in a winsome manner. One way to do this is to create opportunity for people to share their own faith journey. Opportunities need to be created in schools and colleges to help children and younger people understand the composite culture of reason. Non-religious communities can lay claim to the culture of nations. This is true in Saudis here. Yeah, for its common identities, to build a common identity, masjid, mandirs, temples, churches must create opportunity for the body of and their beliefs and guards to work on shared joint events with the public at large on issues that concern the great common good. In response to the growing overlap between the religious and nationalistic identities and the resultant balance against religious minority diversity within one body and the love and respect for different members of it, that the global community represents is a unique and important model routing the world. It is imperative that religion continue to live this we must work towards strengthening the justice delivering system and building deep and meaningful relationships in our neighborhoods, and we have to respect the positive beliefs of people. We have to respect all people who believe in the diverse religions and deep and meaningful relationship in our neighborhood and wider society and with those who are most vulnerable. Thank you so much for this opportunity, especially my dearest respected friend Furkavil. I'll attend upcoming programs. You are doing really great Let me know if any programs you are uh, uh, organizing. Thank you so much, Prokopil.
The a webinar to wrap up. So for the conclusion, Rimsha is here for the concluding remarks. Ramsha, over to you, please.
Firstly, I would like to, I am here to conclude this webinar, which is understanding the landscape of religious violence, its trends and patterns within South Asia region, to mark the International Day commemorating the victims of acts of violence based on religion or belief. We extend our heartfelt gratitude to all the participants, speakers, and organizers who have contributed to the success of this crucial dialogue. As we all know that religious diversity enriches the fabric of South Asian societies, exemplifying unity in differences. Within this region's vibrant array of faiths and beliefs, we witness the potential for coexistence, respect, and empathy. However, we also acknowledge that this diversity has occasionally been overshadowed by incidents of religious violence, challenging our shared quest for harmony, pertaining to our commitment towards interfaith harmony. And with regard to yesterday's event, SARIM deeply condemns the malicious attack on churches in Faisalabad, Pakistan, which occurred on 16th August. We should all take a moment to consider where we are right now and commit to working to advance peaceful coexistence of all. So yeah, this webinar has been a transformative exploration of the intricate landscape of religious violence in South Asia. Our collaborative examination of its historical, contemporary, and causative aspects has illuminated the multifaceted nature of this specific challenge. By recognizing patterns and emerging trends, we take strides towards addressing the underlying causes and shaping strategies to prevent and mitigate such acts. The conversations and perspectives exchanged during this event emphasize the significance of nurturing awareness and facilitating open dialogue. Our first speaker, Ms. Cynthia Stephen, eloquently tackled the escalating trend of violence across South Asian region. She shed light on various instances of severe violence rooted in religion or belief, ranging from a recent event in Faisalabad to past occurrences in Gujarat, Odisha, Manipur, Sri Lanka, and other parts of the world, which involved the vandalism and desecration of sacred sites and scriptures. A discernible pattern emerges from these incidents wherein religious symbols are targeted to exacerbate aggression within societies. She also adds that these acts of violence tend to disproportionately impact impoverished and economically disadvantaged individuals. Following Mrs. Stephen's address, Dr. Obed Manwatkar provided a comprehensive overview. Must say your presentation very engaging and very insightful. Dr. Manwatkar emphasized that the Indian subcontinent boasts a rich history of diverse population as well as instances of violence, conflicts, and bloodshed. The trauma of partition exacerbated these conflicts significantly. Dr. Manwatkar also delved into the underlying causes of religious violence, which often exacerbates in communal clashes, hate-driven crimes, and religiously motivated terrorism. These root causes were identified by Dr. Manwatkar as fundamentals, scriptural sources, ideological re-traditionalization, and naturalistic claims. He also added that on the central factors that contribute to religious violence, these encompassed fears related to political authority, socioeconomic standing, demographic dynamics, psychological insecurities, and the religious framing of disputes. Following Dr. Manwatkar's enlightening talk, Professor Sujatha Surepally underscored the ongoing issue. I hope I've pronounced your name correctly, right?
Correct. Yes.
Okay,
Yes.
so yeah, Professor Sujatha Surepally underscored the ongoing issue of people facing severe discrimination based on their religions. She delved into the various faiths present in the South Asian region and also emphasized the continued absence of harmonious coexistence. This situation stems from causes such as pursuit of religious dominance and political agendas aimed at personal gains. In last, Professor Sujata highlighted the significance of interfaith dialogue and value-based education to mitigate these conflicts and deeply rooted faith-based tensions. The discussions and insights shared here underscore the importance of fostering awareness and open dialogue. Through understanding, empathy, and education, we have the power to transform our communities and societies. As we remember the victims of acts of violence based on religion or belief, we recommit ourselves to working together a future where respect for diversity prevails and where every individual can practice their faith or belief without any fear. Let us carry the wisdom gained from this webinar into our interactions and initiatives by promoting tolerance, fostering interfaith dialogue, and advocating for inclusive policies. We can contribute to the realization of peace and harmony in South Asia and beyond. Once again, thank you for your participation in this vital endeavor. May the insights shared here today continue to guide our efforts as we strive for a world free from the shadows of religious violence. And may the memory of the victims inspire us to create a future founded on compassion, understanding, and unity. Over to you, Zehra.
Thank you, Rimsha, for taking us through your remarks with such a clarity and depth. Your contribution is truly appreciated. In closing, we extend our heartfelt gratitude to our speakers for their valuable insights and thought provoking contribution during this enlightening webinar. Their expertise and dedication have enriched our understanding of complex landscape of religions violence within South Asia. As we depart from this session, may we carry forward the knowledge gained here and continue our collective effort towards promoting harmony and lasting peace in the region. Thank you for being a part of this important discourse. Until next time, take care, everyone. Thank you so much for joining us today.